Welcome to Materials and Methods Matter. In this episode, we'll demonstrate graphic drawing techniques, which include line weight, parallel or contour lines, cross-hatching, scribbling, and shading. The first technique is line weight, which means we have an increased thickness of line as we go along. So the lines are pretty much equally spaced, but using a pencil sometimes we have to double the line drawing next to it to make it darker. And as we go, we will have a decrease in the line weight, which means that the line will be less thick. So you can see a decrease or an increase in value as we go this direction. Next technique will be parallel or contour lines. These lines we will end up with a difference in spacing. So my first lines will be very close together. And then as we progress, the lines become further apart. And so you could see a value gradation here. Cross-hatching is a series of diagonals and parallel and horizontal lines. I generally start with diagonals for some reason. My darkest value is going to be here, my lightest value over here. So what I'm going to do is draw a series of diagonal lines, leaving white area over here. The darkest areas to my left as I'm going in that direction. The closer we put these lines, the darker area will be. I always like to start with some spacing because I can always go back and add. And I have my light source coming from this direction, so that's where we want the lightest area. This is a technique that was used by a lot of artists for drawings, doing cross-hatching just to establish value in their drawings. Next technique is a technique that we first learned when we were little children, and that is scribbling. Scribbling is a very viable technique. And in scribbling, I always start with a light scribble. And if you make a mistake, you can always erase and start over. But these are great. This is a great sketching. Any of these are great sketching techniques for your sketchbook. What I do is I'm in my darker value over here. I scribble in smaller squiggles. So now you can see a value change from light to dark here. Our last technique that we're going to do is shading. Shading is basically filling in an area from light to dark with a pencil. With graphite, I very seldom use a burnishing with a paper stump I think it's more of a challenge to be able to shade completely with just the pencil. And also when we're putting in our lightest area, just very lightly over the top of the paper. When I start to hone in on my value, now I hold the pencil in a writing, what I call the writing position. And again, very lightly touch the paper. I'm a very heavy-handed drawer, so I have to always think about how hard I'm pressing down. What we have here is a pretty good transition of light to dark. This concludes our demonstration of the graphite drawing techniques. In our next episode, we will do a rendering using shading. Materials and Methods Matter was inspired by my book, Making Art, Materials and Techniques for Today's Artist. For more videos on Materials and Methods Matter, as well as lesson plans and other instructional videos, visit Thalo.com.